What's going on, Gerald? I see you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. This is our Monday morning, early morning crypto talk to begin the week. Give you guys some new information, some learning about what's going on in the crypto world. You always must be learning. I have never stopped learning. So much information comes out that we got to do 2 of these a day, one in the morning and one in the evening. But hopefully you guys get some good knowledge out of this. It's helpful for you. Good morning, Blessing. How are you doing today? Cold here in California this morning. Just took my son to school this morning. Was like, good grief, I want to go home and climb back in bed. But let's keep things going. Crypto world is very, very lucrative right now. What's on and popping. A lot of news is happening. One person asked me again, what is the major benefit of investing in the crypto space? And I said, here's one thing that you're doing. Normally, when you are trying to make money, you're trading time for money. In the crypto world, you're letting your money work for you. You make money while you sleep. I made a lot of money while I was sleeping last night. I actually never really went to sleep last night. Too excited about what's coming on, but you make money while you sleep. That's a great feeling to have. So the news we're going to talk about this morning, and I will not keep you long. There's a couple of articles that we will touch base on, and before I get to the main one. But the biggest news was the CME just launched. So now we have the CBOE live, which is the Chicago Business Operating something Exchange. Then you've got the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, that just launched last night, yesterday. And that's the biggest. I think it's the second largest in the world, if not the largest in the world. Futures launch. Following that is going to be NASDAQ in the midterm next year. The stock market, New York Stock Exchange is also coming online. The Man Group out of the UK is coming online. So as I speak right now, Bitcoin is at $18,600. 18,000. So people were trying to figure out what exactly is going to happen to the price of Bitcoin when the CME launches. What's going to happen? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Let me put this link to this article here for you. I won't read the entire thing. Let's give you guys a taste of it. Post that there. So, the Bitcoin price posted a single-day decline following the much-anticipated launch of Bitcoin futures contracts on U.S. derivatives exchange CME. As CCN reported, the Chicago-based exchange listed Bitcoin futures for trading on Sunday evening. Bitcoin futures had already been trading on fellow Chicago exchange CBOE for 1 week. But CME is a much larger exchange, and analysts expect it to attract much more trading volume, particularly from institutional investors with deep pockets. At the time of this writing, CME had processed 670 contracts, each equivalent to 5 Bitcoins, which translates into approximately $64 million worth. $64 million worth of volume at the current Bitcoin spot price. Nearly all of that volume was concentrated in January futures, which traded as high as $20,650 and as low as $18,345. So you kind of see over the next couple of weeks where Bitcoin price is going to range between $18,000 to $20,000 on average. But the Bitcoin price traded down towards 19,000 as soon as it launched. Actually, it went all the way down to 18,000 and came up to about 19,200, and right now it's 18,600. So it's right in that middle range. It looks like the new floor is around 15,000 because there's always going to be a market correction. It's very important to know. And the moment you have a market correction, you're going to have all the critics out there start screaming that it's a scam, we told you so, it's a bubble, everybody's losing their money, but it's just a correction. And then it goes back up just like it has over the last 9 years. So this isn't anything new. So I would say at worst case scenario, the correction would go down to maybe 15,000. Best case, this thing may go up to 25,000 by Christmas. So we'll see what happens. But we do have new analysts have a new price on what they think Bitcoin is going to get to. Research analyst Ronnie Moss has Bitcoin price at $400,000 as the end game. So you've got people say it's going to be more than $1 million. Some people say it'll be at 100,000. But this guy's predicting $400,000 once it finally kind of levels off. So I put that link to that article in the chat box there. Let's see. Independent market research analyst Ronnie Moss said that he believes the Bitcoin price has the potential to reach a long-term target of $400,000. Moss. And who is he? He's the founder of Standpoint Research, has been recommending Bitcoin since July when it was trading at $2,600. At that time, Moss set his 2018 Bitcoin price target at $5,000. Think about that for a second. Back in July, he thought that the price for 2018 would have been $5,000. Oh, we exploded past that. That may have seemed bullish, like a bullish target at the time. But Bitcoin has exceeded it several times over, causing Moss to revise his forecast upwards multiple times. Over the weekend, the Bitcoin price briefly touched a global average of $20,000, a mark Moss had originally believed the flagship cryptocurrency would not reach until 2020. At the time of writing, the Bitcoin price was trading at $18,612, according to the CCM price index. However, despite its breakneck pace in 2017, Moss believes the Bitcoin bull market has the legs to continue into the six-figure range, even if it does encounter temporary dips along the way. The end game on Bitcoin is that it will hit $300,000 to $400,000, in my opinion, and it will be the most valuable currency in the world, Moss told CNBC The Rundown. I don't know how much gold there is in the ground, but I know how much Bitcoin there is. And in 2 years, there will be at least 300 million people in the world trying to get their hands on a few million Bitcoin, Moss added, explaining the justification for this optimistic outlook. I mean, this is just common sense, people. It's the classic supply and demand. If you have a finite amount of an asset and you have a demand for it that far exceeds the supply, the value and the price of it's going to go up. If every single millionaire in the world right now, there's over 50, I think there's 15 million millionaires around the world, not every single one of them can have at least just one Bitcoin. Think about that for a second. 300 million people? The world's population is over 7 billion. That's still nothing. 300 million. That's less than the population of the United States. There's more honor roll kids in China than there are people in the United States. So 300 million people going after about 5 to 7 million Bitcoins. Yeah, the price is going to skyrocket. So Bitcoin futures a celebrity endorsement. As CCN has reported, much of the recent rally can be attributed to the introduction of Bitcoin futures on U.S. exchanges, CBOE and CME, which should help cryptocurrency shed its taboo status among Wall Street investors. Some analysts, though, predicted that institutional investors could trigger a Bitcoin price crash by shortening the futures. Nevertheless, that has not happened, at least during the futures contract's debut phase. In any case, however, most said that he was really not too concerned about the nascent Bitcoin futures markets, arguing that they serve as a celebrity endorsement of Bitcoin but will not have a significant impact on the asset's price over the long term. It's a good article. Let's go to the title of this Facebook Live. Bitcoin not a threat to financial systems, says U.S. Chief Financial Regulator. Now that's an important one right there, because most of the regulators coming from the U.S. is all bearish on Bitcoin. They're all doom and gloom. ISIS is taking over with Bitcoin, criminal activity and fraud. You know, that's what you get from the U.S. regulators. But this one is saying it's not a threat. Somebody's breaking rank. They're not using the talking points. So let me put the link to this article in here in the chat box. So let's see what this regulator has to say. The U.S. Chief Financial Watchdog, the Financial Stability Oversight Board, claims that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies do not pose a threat to existing financial systems around the world. Interesting. In its 152-page report, the FSOC stated that virtual currencies are only utilized by a very small number of consumers, and their underlying blockchain technology offers potential in various industrial applications. In other words, guys, you are still the early adopter. Do not think that you're in too late, that you're scared about the price of Bitcoin being at almost $20,000. You think that you can't get a piece of that. $100, if you can only afford $50, $100, get in the game. This thing can break down, what is it, 8 or 9 decimal points, called a Satoshi. Trillions and trillions of dollars can be all into the Bitcoin. You're not going to miss out if you get into the game now with whatever you can. Now, I am not a licensed, as a disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor. So do not do anything based on my advice. I just give my own suggestions of what I'm doing. Suggestions that you can choose to do whatever what you want. But we are still at the early adopter phase. And even if you were to completely bypass Bitcoin, you can become financially wealthy from the altcoins that are still cheap right now. You know, I read an article the other day, and I should have kept it for a Facebook Live. I get so many a day. But it talked about, in the next 5 years, probably the top 10 altcoins are all going to be in the $1,000 or more range, except for coins like Ripple, coins like, let me pull up my market cap here. All right, coins like Ripple, Cardano, IOTA, NEM, and Stellar, Tron. Those are not going to be worth $1,000 a coin. The reason being is because there's so many of them out there. You know, you get Ripple, we're talking about 38 billion coins. If every coin was worth $1,000, I mean, really? So they'll still have a huge market cap volume. But coins like Ethereum, oh, I just noticed this. Bitcoin Cash is up 25% today. $2,300 per coin. And let me look at my Exodus wallet right now. Are you kidding me? Ooh. I see. Bitcoin Cash is on the run. Early this morning, I actually never went to sleep today. And I think maybe it was about 4 a.m. I was looking at the chart. They were all in red. Now I see it. They're mostly in green. 15% up is Neo. Look at Neo. 15% up. But coins like Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, IOTA, Dash is over $1,000. Oh, that already reached it because it's down 0.25%. It's $1,100 per coin now. Dash. Monero. I don't know about Bitcoin Gold, but since it's got Bitcoin Gold attached to it, maybe. I don't know about Neo getting to $1,000 a coin. There's 65 million of them. Not EOS. Ethereum Classic, maybe. Nah, I don't know about that. BitConnect, yes. But these coins are going to be worth more than $1,000 per coin, and you can get in on those games now. You can afford those coins. And you want to get those coins and hold them. Sit on them. You know, put $10,000. Well, I can't say that. I am not a licensed financial advisor. All I'm saying is, I'm going to get these coins. All right, let me get back to the article here. All right, what they said is, virtual currencies are only used by a very small number of consumers. We give a bit more credit to the potentially much broader applications of the so-called distributed ledger technology underpinning the innovations. Tim, I will never say HODL. That stands for hold on for dear life. That was a nerd term because some clown spelled hold wrong and they ran with it. I just can't do it. I'm saying hold. I'll be a Bitcoin millionaire still saying hold, not hodl, hodl. It's like a Hobbit term or something. All right. Other highlights of the report. The report's view on digital currencies is somewhat surprising due to the negative stance shown by several financial industry personalities. An example is a recent claim by JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon that Bitcoin is a fraud and should not be taken seriously. If you guys did not hear my Facebook Live last night, go back and listen to the recording. In fact, I uploaded it, so I'll put the link to that in the article directly so you don't have to go looking for it. The reason being is the Winklevoss twins called out Jamie Dimon last night, or the other day. They called him out. They basically said, all right, Mr. Dimon, put your money where your mouth is. Why don't you take the entire portfolio of Chase Bank and your own personal holdings and bet against Bitcoin? Short it. If you're right, you're going to be hell of a lot more wealthier than you are right now. If you are so set that this is incorrect, that this is a scam, not worth anything, bet against it. And they know that he's not going to do that because they're calling him out. Jamie Dimon is not stupid. And in the article they talked about, they said Jamie Dimon probably understands Bitcoin and blockchain technology better than every single person listening, including me, right now. He's been watching this for years, and somebody in his position, he's supposed to look at what threats are potentially out there against Chase Bank. That's his job, looking after his interests, the bank, the shareholders. He's not stupid. He didn't get to where he is by luck. Very shrewd man. $6 trillion moves through their banks on a daily basis. So he knows something about Bitcoin that you and I still don't know. That's why he feels threatened by it. But anyways, let's get back to the article. And I put the link to that Facebook Live last night in the chat box. All right, it says the report also cited various monetary threats, geopolitical risks, and cybersecurity threats that confront the global financial system. Bitcoin was not cited as a threat. Now, that's stupid. Even though I like that he's kind of overlooking Bitcoin, but it is completely stupid to see it as not a threat. Not in and of itself, but if you're looking from a geopolitical standpoint here, Russia, Vladimir Putin, Iran, and China just had a conference a week and a half ago in Tehran. And their entire conference was about how to secure the oil trade between those nations without having to use the petrodollar, without having to use the US dollar, getting away from the West. Because if the West doesn't like what they're doing, we will put sanctions on them. So their entire goal is to get away from sanctions, and they're looking at cryptocurrencies as the way to do that. How do you not see that as a freaking threat? When our enemies can do whatever they want, and we can't threaten them with sanctions because they can say, whatever, we can survive without you. Our only other alternative is military force. How can you say that's not a freaking threat? So I don't know why, and I should be excited about him saying that Bitcoin's not a threat, but as an American and looking at our way of life, the way our enemies will be using cryptocurrency, it is a threat. Not as American citizens, all right? I want to make that point clear. But from a geopolitical standpoint, it's a threat. Performance of the digital currency market. The virtual currency market registered considerable growth throughout 2017. However, despite its phenomenal growth, the market's total combined value is still significantly below 1 trillion and likely too small to be a systemic threat to the global financial sector. You guys hear that? Think of all the people that's become Bitcoin billionaires, millionaires and billionaires right now. It's only at around $500 billion market cap. They don't even take it serious until it hits 1 trillion. So how many more of you have the opportunity to become crypto millionaires when another $500 billion is going to be dropped in the market over the next 12 months at least? There is plenty of room, plenty of opportunity. The amount of money we're going to make is sick. The reason why I couldn't sleep last night, I don't know if I should share this, but I was closing some deals that 2018, I'll probably earn more in 2018 than in the last 5 years combined because of the crypto space. I couldn't sleep last night. And why? It's not that we're doing anything significant. It's that there's far more money in this space than in anything we were doing before. I was working harder before. Now we're just working smarter. And before, I had to build a huge team and organizations. Now I don't. It's a difference. So there's far more money flooding into the... I spent 19 years in the MLM industry. When was the MLM industry a $1 trillion industry? Never. Never. Was Mario say, what do you think about the article that said about 1,000 people own 40% of Bitcoin? That's probably true. The whoever the Satoshi Nakamoto dude is owns 1 million Bitcoin right now. Russia owns a gang of Bitcoin that they're sitting on. Russia does. So with 21 million that's ultimately going to be in circulation, there's only about 5 million that the rest of the public will have access to. Remember that last article I just talked about when it said $400,000 per coin? 5 million that will be in active circulation that you've got 300 million people fighting for. That's why the other altcoins are also going to explode, like Bitcoin Cash. It's going to explode. So anyways, he's downplaying it because he doesn't see, to him, Bitcoin is just like a flea on his shoulder. It's only $500 billion. What are y'all worrying about? We'll deal with that in a couple of years. Whereas Jamie Dimon sees the threat right now. And he's getting himself positioned right now. But this is an interesting report about the U.S., how the U.S. is looking at it. Chief Financial Regulator. But speaking of regulation, there is one last article. Ray sent this to me like 5 minutes before I went live. And this one is about regulation. And let me put this in the chat box here. This is about worldwide regulation. MLM is not good. MLM is freaking great. MLM, I'm referring those listening, Alfred put a statement that MLM is good, but crypto is better. My response to that is MLM is freaking great. MLM has created the most millionaires and freed more people than any other industry. MLM walked me off my job, and I was able to retire at the age of 35. MLM changed my life. But crypto is going to change my generations. It's going to make me a multi-millionaire. So, just because I talk great about crypto does not mean, and don't get people think, I know people think I'd be putting down MLM. Oh, no, not at all. I put down the clowns in MLM that's putting down Bitcoin in order to save their check. I put them down. I will call them out in a minute. But I will never blast the industry of MLM. But yeah, MLM's good. It was very good to me. All right, let's talk about this last article here. Crypto to take center stage at G20. Need to see how we can regulate Bitcoin. Uh-oh. So crypto, think about, if you guys don't know what G20 is, it's when all the big countries come together in France and they talk about the financial stuff. It's like the masters of the world, how money's going to work. But now, December 17th, crypto's taking center stage. So French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire announced on Sunday, December 17th, that the next group of G20 meeting would include discussion about how to regulate the world's most popular cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. How are you going to regulate this? The digital asset hasn't ceased in making news all year. The European politicians appear more concerned in direct proportion to its price increase, as shown by the EU legislative body urging strict compliance laws upon coin exchanges this week. Pay close attention to this, guys, because this impacts you. As shown by the G20 establishing regulatory frameworks, however, would spread across the world and have enormous impact. Speaking to I don't speak French. I just said the LCI, French Finance Minister Bruno declared, I am going to propose to the next G20 president, Argentina, that at the G20 summit in April, we have a discussion all together on the question of Bitcoin. The G20 includes central bankers and leaders from 19 countries and the European Union, spanning the entire globe. Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia Federation, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, United Kingdom, and the United States. That's interesting. I wonder if Trump's going to show up. Today, I guess he's coming out. If this happening today, a major speech on international policy with the U.S. first mentality. So I wonder if Trump will even participate in this. Anyways, there is evidently a risk of speculation, Mr. Le Maire continued. We need to consider and examine this and see how, with all the other G20 members, we can regulate Bitcoin. Yeah, how are you going to regulate it? That Bitcoin would make it into the agenda is nothing short of jaw-dropping. Now think about this. The last article has a U.S. chief financial regulator talking about, it's not an impact on the world. And then you got the people from G20, they're going to center their entire meeting around this. So G20 nations soak up more than 80 cents on every economic dollar around the world in terms of trade and productivity. Mr. Le Maire was wrapping his session at the One Planet Summit in Boulogne-Billancourt this week. The week prior, the finance minister seemed to welcome Bitcoin and its undergirding technology, blockchain. The use of this new technology will allow fintech firms and other financial actors to develop new ways of trading securities that are faster, cheaper, more transparent, and safer. What he said, referencing new rules to allow for trading unlisted securities. These would add another asset for Paris' attractiveness as a financial center. Paris? New York's the financial center. What are you talking about here? So they want to move. I see what they're doing here. You know, ever since Trump came into office, they're trying to, well, they don't need help on this, but Germany already made an announcement last week that they no longer see the United States as a world power leading the world, and that it might be time for European nations to start acting in their own best interest, no matter what the U.S. has to say, and lead themselves. This is another move to that. If they try to move the financial center of the world from New York to Paris, again, everybody's trying to get away from the U.S. dollar. You got to pay attention to the signs here. He specifically said another asset for Paris' attractiveness as a financial center. A delicate tango. Indeed, the Macron government has largely been viewed as neoliberal, reordering France's clunky and notorious bureaucracies toward less regulation. The first scheduled calendar meetings at the Argentina G20 in April are of its Development Working Group in Buenos Aires, April 10th, 2018. We will be around that time, I think it's April 18th. We will be in London for the Blockchain Expo, so I'm sure this topic, if they're meeting on the 10th, we'll know what's going on by the 18th in London. So April's going to be a very, very interesting month in 2018. All right, priorities announced for the gathering include the future of work and what this means for education, infrastructure, and for development, and a sustainable food future, its website reads. In anticipation of the meetings, Argentine President Mauricio Macri explained, technology is quickening productivity at an unprecedented rate, which presents both opportunities and challenges. We want to ensure that adopting technological advances does not lead to economic exclusion or other negative side effects. Bitcoin investor Tim Draper held a meeting with President Macri and an advisor in late November of this year. By all accounts, Mr. Macri seemed at least receptive to the idea of cryptocurrencies. That same month, the country's Rofex exchange announced it would be offering Bitcoin futures. 2018 is going to be the pivotal year. 2017 put Bitcoin on the map. But 2018 is going to determine its future for all of us. A lot of people are going to get wealthy. There's also going to be a lot of blowback. There's going to be a lot of obstacles, a lot of resistance at the same time. You cannot have progress without resistance. And those who feel threatened, especially industries, especially like the banking industry, the governments, they are going to work to regulate this as much as possible. See, if you don't understand the 3 ways of government control of something that is new, the first thing they do is they criminalize it. That's why you see every time you turn on the news and they talk about Bitcoin, they will always bring up criminal activity, as if there's no criminal activity going on with the US dollar. The second thing they will do was attempt to ban it, like banks trying to ban people and close their bank accounts because they're dealing with Bitcoin. Or the government will try to say, oh, we're going to regulate all the ICOs. In the case, we're going to ban anything. We might have to shut exchanges down like China did, where they banned all exchanges. Or they'll say they make it so that you can't use any transactions with Bitcoin in the United States. You never know what the government's going to do. And then the third thing for them to do, and this is straight out of Ronald Reagan's book, if you can't control it, regulate it, co-opt it, and tax the hell out of it. That's going to be the last thing, and that's what they're talking about here. We can't put the genie back in the bottle. Pandora's box has been opened. And it's been open for 9 years now, and it's picking up speed. The best we can do is regulate it. Let's regulate it, control it, co-opt the blockchain technology, create our own coins, and then tax the hell out of it so that we get our piece of the pie. They already are reserved to the fact that they're going to have to adapt. And they've been planning this for years, even though most of you are just now getting on this train. So that's it for it, guys. Next, not this Saturday, the following Saturday will be the last Saturday of 2018. I'll be doing a special Facebook Live that morning, and maybe I do a conference call where I talk about the secret. The secret. Yes, I fully believe about the laws of the universe. And I talk about the secret. But it's all about New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions. This Monday, we now have, two Mondays left in 2017. And in 2018, did you guys know that the third Monday of the new year is when the most suicides take place in the entire year? And do you know why that is? Here's the reason why. Most people during this time of the season reflect on the past year. And they realize that they are not where they want to be. They started off the year with high hopes, probably lose weight and make more money. They end the year off and they're worse off now than they were when the year first started. They say, you know, the next year is going to be my year. 2018 is going to be my year. So they write down on paper their New Year's resolutions. I want to either get a better job. I want to make more money. I want to lose weight. I want to have a better relationship with my family or my wife or my husband. I want to be active in this and that and this and that. And these things, what they don't take into account is it takes habit to continue doing these things. We are habitual creatures. And it takes at least 3 to 4 weeks of doing something consistently before it begins to become a habit. Think about when you start a job for the very first time. Those first few weeks are difficult. But once you get the hang of it and the swing of things, I mean, it's easy. You don't even think about it. It's just part of your routine. But what happens with people, and they make all these grand visions of what they want to do in the new year. And that's great. That's the first step, to make the decision to realize it. And they start to begin it like they get their gym membership. And that first week, they go to the gym 3 or 4 times that first week. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is so difficult. By the second week, they're like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm worn out. They look in the mirror and they don't see any results. By the third week comes around, they're really like, man, this is hard work. I'm just not getting it. I don't see a change happen. And you start to fall back into your same old habits. And then the third Monday of 2018, they wake up. It's the middle of the winter. It's cold as hell. The sun's not up. They get themselves dressed and they got to rush off into rush hour traffic. To rush off to a job they don't like, to work with people they can't stand, to eat lunch at 12 when they're hungry at 11, to ask for permission to go to the bathroom as if they are a child, to realize that they're going to be doing this for 40 years of their life, if they're lucky enough to have the same job for 40 years. They're going to retire maybe at the age of 65, most likely at the age of 72, still broke, depending on family, government, and friends, with no savings, no 401k, no mortgage. Your house is a liability and not an asset. Social Security is a joke. And you really wonder what happened to their lives. And they look at their future and they're like, it's time to end it all. That's why the most suicides happen the third Monday of the new year. But you guys have an opportunity to change that pattern, because most of you are not going to commit suicide. You will commit suicide on your dreams, and you will fall back into your same habits, and it's going to be Groundhog Year for you all over again. 2018 ain't going to be no different from 2017, from 2016, and so on. But it starts with making a decision. Make a clear and concise decision on what it is that you want and what you feel you deserve. Don't worry about how you're going to make it happen. You just make the decision that you're going to make it happen. I'm going to stop there because I'm going to start getting into the secret stuff, and that's going to save that for next week. But you first make a decision. The how will figure itself out at another time. I'll give you a good example, and then I'm going to end because I'm going to get personal here. It is Monday morning, and I want to help people out that's on a broke down job right now. Back in August, I was at one of the lowest points in my business career. I have made a lot of money in this industry, and I've lost a lot of money. And I had come after 12 months of hell, the worst 12 months in my business career. Faced with the prospect that I had to get a job again. And I hadn't had a job in years, more than half a decade. You talk about being stressed and depressed that nobody knew about because I don't sweat. I don't let anybody see me sweat. I didn't show it out into social media. And I was just finishing my research phase of the cryptocurrency industry before I pulled the trigger on investing. And when I finally pulled the trigger, I had one main goal. And my goal was by the end of the year, I wanted to earn an extra $20,000. That was through. Tim Miller knows this because me and Tim had this talk in August. So Tim can vouch. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. My goal was to make an extra $20,000 by the end of the year. I wanted to have at least $10,000 invested into cryptocurrency that I can earn money on my own money. I wanted to be able to learn how to trade by myself. And that's an asset I learned how to do, which means no matter what happens, I have the skill set of trading on the crypto market whenever I feel like it. I can average anywhere between 0.5% up to 10% on every trade I do myself. Just that knowledge alone is a 6, 7, 8 figure skill set that I have. I don't utilize it right now, but I have it. My goal was to go into 2018 earning, and don't laugh at this, but this is real talk. I wanted to be earning at least about $3,500 a month off my investments in the crypto space, because I knew at least, the rent and basic bills would be paid. I still would have to hustle to, I live in California. You can't survive on no freaking $3,500 a month, but I knew at least I wouldn't be homeless. And that I knew my hustle and my work ethic could take over. That was the goal. I didn't know how that was going to happen. I had no idea how. I actually got hired for a job with DirecTV. And I went through 2 weeks of training. It was a freaking joke. 2 weeks of training. And the day when my training was up, where I was supposed to actually go out into the field to actually, do the work, do the sales, I was talking with my wife, and I was like, I can't do this. There is no way I can do this. The amount of hours that they're going to ask for, the amount of money I was going to make was crazy. Because I'm still in the training stage of this, they're talking like $600 to $800 a week, maybe. That's what I was faced with. And I had to leave the house and actually work a job, 8 hours plus traffic and all that stuff, and travel time. California, ladies and gentlemen. And my wife was like, don't do it. Don't do it. You have the skill set. You can make it happen. Don't do it. And it was one of the scariest times of my life, because I have a picture of me. I put on my DirecTV shirt the day I was supposed to start. I took a picture of it just for memory's sake. And I quit that day before I even really got started. Not happening. But I quit without having another income that was major yet. I just got started in crypto. I had faith. I made a decision. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I made a decision. Put my head down and went to work. 4 months later, because it is exactly right now, the 15th, it was 4 months. 4 months and 2 days later. In the entire crypto space, I've earned over $85,000. I have over $30,000 invested, well, more than that, about almost $40,000 invested in the crypto space in multiple things. I earn 5 figures a month whether I get out of bed or not. And that's nothing compared to what's going to happen in 2018. And I don't say that to impress you or to brag. That's not me. You're not going to see me out there flashing money, being in front of a new Lambo, in front of a new $1 million home. That's not my style. I've never been that way. But I share that because I know I don't even share this story. I share that to share with you hope that no matter where you are in life, you are one decision away, but then you got to put the work in. You just can't sit back and think it's going to fall in your lap. Then you got to put the work in. And you got to be focused, because there will be people who tell you you can't do it. There will be people who tell you what you're doing is not going to work. What you're doing is a scam. What you're doing is this and that and blah, blah, blah. You accept another man's opinion. You accept their lifestyle. Does that guarantee that you're going to succeed? No, because you will fail along the way somewhere. You will lose somewhere. Something's not going to go right somewhere that you have no control over. But are you willing to take the risk? Scared money don't make money. If you're looking for security, you stay on a 9-to-5 job and hope that check continues to come in. But in this space, in this time, anybody who has access to the internet can change their family tree within 12 months. But you got to be willing to put in the work and take the risk. So as a disclaimer, since I mentioned money, the amount of money that I make or may make is not guaranteed. There's no guarantee that's what you're going to do. Many of you are going to do far more than me. Many of you are going to do, if you did just a quarter of me, what I've done, you're going to be all right. Those of you that's coming on late, you definitely want to listen to the beginning, because I did not plan on going into this, this part. Something told me to speak on it. I don't know who might listen, and it may help out. But I'll go into that in more detail when we get to the end of the year, when I talk about the secret. Just make a decision and then be willing to put in the work. Step out of your comfort zone. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, yet expecting a different result. And funny thing is, one of the guys from DirecTV contacted me last month and was like, hey, B, you know, we still got this here for you, man. You could be the manager. You can have this office here in about 6 months. You could be running things. You know, in 6 months, you could be making maybe $8,000 to $10,000 a month, man. This is a good opportunity. Yeah, it's going to be hard at the beginning, but how are you doing? I was like, bro, I make more money in a month than I would have in a year if I worked for you. He was like, what? When you're broke, it's a temporary situation. Never look at it as permanent. It's temporary. We've all been there. Tim Miller was there 8 years ago. $4 million later, he put his head down, made a decision, and took action. Your current situation is not going to define who you are long term. But it will if you do nothing to change your current situation. So I'm getting into preaching too long. That's it, guys. You know, go back to the beginning to listen to this to get the full effect of it. Enjoy your Monday. Merry Christmas if I don't speak to any of you guys by Christmas time. But I will still be doing these Facebook Lives twice a day. See you tonight on the next Facebook Live if there's enough news to cover. Bitcoin Brandon out. God bless. Bye-bye.